I can hear you. Yeah.
You can hear me. All right. So
Yeah.
we're testing this out, guys. I switched up Zoom a little bit to make it so that it collected the computer sound. I don't know if that's what I want or not. So we're testing this out. So let us know if you can hear me. Robin can hear me, but I want to know if you can hear me, which is good. Hey, while we're still doing this, first off, hi everybody. Welcome to day 4 of Turkey Trot. You made it. We're on the final. This is like one of those finishing touches time frame. I'm joined with Robin, who's going to teach you a couple things today. And yeah, so I kind of want to know how everybody's doing so far. How did you feel after day 3? I know that we got a lot of really great feedback about yesterday's video. They love the seamless like join that so many people were commenting about that.
Oh, good.
They
Good.
love the extra instruction that you gave on the embroidery, and then obviously being able to kind of be like, hey, this is essentially you're just finding your stitches on the toes, marking them out. It doesn't have to be like absolutely perfect. It's okay. I think just hearing that it's okay is a big deal for a lot of people. I don't know. What are some things that you thought while you're doing that? I gotta finish up what I was doing. I thought 3 minutes was enough. It is not enough.
You
So,
finish up. You finish up.
okay.
You go. Yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed it. I was having a really hard time not showing it to everybody. Like, look how cute these are. To the point where my daughter has already stolen them. Like she took the pair and wore them. So I laughed because I'm like, well, I guess that worked out. Um, you know, my teenager likes them. So I'm like, good, gift done. Um, but yeah, it's just nice to finally be like, this is what you're making. Hey guys, hope you like it. Um, when Marley and I were, when she was telling me what she wanted to change it up to, it was really funny because it was super addicting. When I first looked at it, I'm like, well, that's kind of funny because the construction is a little odd, which I really liked. We already talked about that. I liked that it was like a secret construction. Um, and then switching it up was like, yeah, they were very addicting. They went really fast. Um, and obviously, when you're making this, you can use any stitch pattern that you want. We went with what we're going to have fun with, but they can be as colorful or not colorful or whatever stitches that you like. There's a million ways to make them. I did want to talk before we get too far. I want to talk about if you wanted to change the size. If you
Perfect.
if you didn't like if you don't fall into one of the 4 sizes for the crochet ones or one of the knit ones, how you would change it, because all of our feet are different, and when we talk with crochet socks, I get really funny about fit, and I want you to make sure it's a perfect fit, perfect length, perfect width, perfect everything. Um, but here we don't need to do that, right? Like, these don't need to be
No.
perfect. Yeah.
There's slippers.
Yeah.
There's a reason at the store you buy like it's one size fits all slipper socks. Like
Yeah.
they don't come in like size 6, 5, 4, so on and so. They're one size fits most.
Yeah. And they're not like shoes.
No.
They're not like the slippers that you're going to wear like around your house all day long when you're doing chores. Um, these are the ones that you're going to wear when you're like cuddling up on the couch, crocheting or knitting or watching a movie, or, like it's cold and you want something on. Like that's what these are. They're not meant to be like, they're definitely not meant to be socks. They're not supposed to be worn in a shoe in any way. But I wanted to talk just in case you wanted to change it up and how to change it up, and because the dimensions don't make sense, like you can't just be like, well, this is the length and this is the width, because it is not that way.
No.
Um, but
I
I'm
want
getting
to I want
distracted.
to say this
It's
out
Happy
loud
Hanukkah
because
to anybody who is celebrating today. I'm wearing my Hanukkah shirt.
Happy Hanukkah. I saw your Hanukkah sweater. I want to say this out loud because it's a very good question. I know it's probably something you're going to talk about, but Mindy is saying, is it that you guys, we worked through the single crochet through the third loop to give us that extra stretch because crochet can be so stiff? She's wondering if that was a factor that was brought into it. So I'm just bringing it up because I know that when you talk about stitch patterns and such. And I mean, I don't know about you, but like I've already got so many different patterns, ideas using this construction in my head. So I know you're in the same boat that I am. Like it's hard to just bring it all down to do what we're going to do, but go ahead.
The third loop, just because I knew I wanted to do plaid, and I really like the plaid to have those top two loops laying flat, because when you do the slip stitch embroidery, you have the top two loops going. And I wanted to see it. Let me switch to my hands. Let me
Okay.
switch to my hands.
Okay.
And then I
I'll
can
mute
hear you.
myself.
So with those top two loops, I really like seeing these lines here. They made the plaid stand even more out to me, especially when you were going under. This is the slip stitch embroidery. So that's the only reason I did the third loop here. And frankly, I just like it. It wasn't for a stretch or anything like that. In any way, the yarn that we use, the We Crochet um, Providence yarn, it's really lovely. It has all this great tweedy effect, so I knew um, it was going to give me all that give and take and all that wonderful goodness. So I wasn't too much worried about that. Okay, before I lose my train of thought, because I can do that, let me talk real quick about how you could change your sizes in case you wanted to. Um, So here is the crochet schematic. It's similar to the knit schematic. The numbers are different, but it's similar. When you're looking at the length of your foot, so you're looking at how long your foot is going to be. Here's where you find that. Well, one seems pretty obvious, right? You're going to you have that dimension. It is this length. But it does not include this length. This part is not included in the length of your foot. That part goes up your foot. So the other part that you include when you're including the length is actually this part here. So for instance, in the small size, it is 8 inches across. The width of it is 4 inches here. That means that these guys are adding an extra 2 inches. So the length of the small, so then small would be the 5.5 plus the 2 inches. So the length of the small is a 7.5 inch length. So they're kind of like they're hidden. So you can see it here that this part, remember when we were edging it all yesterday, we went along this edge and then along this edge. That's what makes up your length, the length of your foot. It's kind of a tricky dimension to play with. It's not actually the full length this way. So if you want to change up how long your foot is, you can always add more to the top part of your foot. That's not a problem. Where it gets to be tricky though is if you want a bigger ankle. So if you want a bigger ankle, no problem. You could add more stitches, right? But that's going to add length. So any amount that you're adding here is going to add length over here, which means then you need a shorter top of your foot. So I'm going to say that again. If you need a wider ankle, you need it to be wider. That means that you're going to start with that day one square. It's going to be longer so that your foot doesn't get to be too long. Because remember, we have to include this part in it. You actually are going to need to make your top of your foot shorter. Just take out a couple of these rows to make it shorter. That is the tricky little bit. In terms of the circumference of your foot, obviously this is how wide the top part of your foot was, and to go all the way around the whole mid foot circumference, how wide it is all the way around. That was by the bottom part of the sole is a half of an inch smaller than that. So, the small is a 4 inch. So the sole is actually 3.5 inches wide for the small. It's 4 inches wide for the medium. It is 4.5 for the large and 5 inches wide for the extra large. They're just half an inch smaller, just so that you don't see the sole. So you can kind of see, like, when it's laid out flat, there's just this tiny little bit of the top part. So that way you don't see the sole when you're wearing it.
I
Your
want to point
foot
out,
flickers down.
because if people are like, well, it's too wide for my foot, just make it a little bit narrower. And it's totally okay to do that. You can make it a little more narrow and make it longer. And you can really
Yeah,
customize this.
you can. Just be careful. If you make this more narrow, you're going to get a longer foot.
Mhm.
So they work together. We're not saying that you can't do it. You can customize it to be anything you want.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure that people aren't getting frustrated when they're like, I made it narrow and now it's too long. How did that happen? It's because these two numbers play with each other.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay, that was a lot of that. That was a lot of that. We don't need any more of that. Okay, let's talk about the good stuff, right? So today you got to do your cuff, and if you decided to, you can do buttons on your cuff. The reason I did, these big juicy cuffs, because if you get really cold, you could just pull it up and it can be like an extra long sock. Um, and you'll notice that when they're folded over, it's not the full length. You want some of that edging on the inside so that all of your beautiful work, if you've done it, is peeking through. So they're not completely folded over the whole thing. All right, should we look at how to do these cuffs? Sounds like a plan. These cuffs I did with pretty much what Marley and I always do. Um, is instead of working around and around, now we're working in the opposite direction all the way around. Our ribbing is pretty much always the same.
I'm going to say that it's always the same because I learned from you and I thought it was brilliant. And so then I literally have used it from the moment I did it on the Comfy Cardi, which was my first introduction to you and your designs. And I'm like, this is the smartest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. And I've used it ever since.
Yeah, so it's nice because you're working in the opposite direction and actually can have a little bit of give. Um, all right. So what it's telling you to do is join your yarn at the side. And the reason is because when you're, having your buttons, you want your buttons on the side of your foot. You don't want buttons like directly in the front or directly in the back. You want them on the side of your foot where your ankle is, your ankle bone is. You can choose wherever it is. I'm not going to be that much of a stickler to say it needs to be exactly, no, just join your yarn to the side of your foot, anywhere you want. Just join it with the slip stitch. And then in the pattern, it tells you to chain 19. So for us, I'm just going to chain a couple so you get the idea. So let's say I'm chaining just a couple for us. But you're going to want to chain the whole 19 so that you get a nice flap to flap over. First part is easy. Just go back, skip the first one, go into the second one with a single crochet. You're just going to single crochet all the way back along. I don't care if you go through one loop, if you go through two loops when you're crocheting through your chains. We're actually going to hide that with a slip stitch when we come back. So right now I don't care, just one strand or two strands. Now here's the magic to happens is we're going to slip stitch twice into the edge of this little booty. The first one is going to join what we just did, join this little row. And then the second one is going to act as our turning chain. So we'll slip stitch once, that joined our little row. Now we're going to slip stitch again. This acts kind of like our turning chain. And we're going to turn. Now we're going to go back and do our half doubles. So that's the yarn over, as you guys all know. Insert your hook. You got 3 loops on your hook. Pull through all 3, and you'll just do half doubles all the way back. You ignore those slip stitches like they're not there. They just joined your work. And usually when I'm doing this, I would slip stitch as many times as like a normal turning chain is for the height of the stitch. But because we want this to be able to curl all the way around, I only put in 1 chain or 1 slip stitch for these half doubles. I'll show you again in a minute. So chain 1, go back. Now you guys are all experts at this as finding the 3rd loop. You insert your hook. So not in these 2 top loops. We're not going in there. We're going in this strand right below it. It's really easy to see when you're on the wrong side of your half double because it's this huge horizontal line that's just screaming at you saying, hey, 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 you could stick my hook in there. That's why I like them. They do have a 3rd loop on the front side. These guys are a little harder to find. I don't use those too often, but I do use them a lot when we're going on the back side. Interesting. And we're just doing single crochets all the way across. All tall stitches have a 3rd loop. So doubles, trebles, everybody has one. They all are made from the yarn over. So you have to do to create the stitch, which is kind of cool. The funny thing about it when you're making these cuffs is that it'll feel like you're putting them on the wrong side because all of that pretty stuff is on this side. But just remind yourself, remember these get folded over. They're a folded over cuff. So then you'll see the pretty detail. Okay, so again, slip stitch to the edge. That joins what we just did. And then you slip stitch again. Now, if this was not going to be folded over and go all the way around, I might slip stitch again. If I was doing it like on an edge on my sweater, because it doesn't have to be, I want it to line up exactly. But with this, I needed to have a little bit of give to go all the way around to fold over. That's why I only slip stitched once instead of twice, because normally half doubles turning chain would be 2. So you're going to continue that all the way around, all the way around. And then you have decisions to make. Once you've gone all the way around, it's all the same. You now decide if you're going to do buttons, which are not hard, or if you don't want buttons, what you can do is just take these 2 and seam them up. Just seam up the edges so then you have, it'll look like this. It'll just look like a plain cuff all the way around. I want you to do a little single crochet edging to clean up your edges because when you do this, sometimes they curl up. Of course, it's not doing it in my sample, but sometimes this will curl up, and just putting a single crochet edging on it, I think I said slip stitch before, just a single crochet edging will just make it lay flat, make it look really nice. If you decide that you want buttons, the directions will show you how to make the little loops. All that this is just the slip stitch embroidery that you did down here. It's just slip stitch embroidery, chain a couple when you get to the edge, and then come back and do some more slip stitches. That's all it is to make your little loops. Not hard. Sew on whatever buttons you want on the other side, and you got that all closed. Now, we do have one more option. This was an option. This was an option. We like doing lots of options.
Can you pause just for a second?
Yeah.
I do want to mention something. So Renee is actually mentioning online. She goes, I love the slippers, but I would wear them with the cuff opening on the outside. To which my comment was, I'm sure Robin does too, but it's so much easier to take a picture with the cuff opening on the inside. So I want to point out to everybody, you can wear it either way, whatever works best for you. Just want to make sure everybody knows that.
Yeah, just wear it on the other foot. Yeah, wear them however you like. Yeah, seam them up. I would have, if I didn't do the buttons, I'd like them seamed up for me. That's what I would like because I would like this all the way around instead of this kind of flying open like a Peter Pan collar. But that's just me. You do you. You do however you like it. I'm all for it. We're just here to give you options. Okay, last thing. You'll notice that in the picture, we had leather on the bottom. Well, these were claimed by my daughter, and she didn't like the leather. So I have already taken it off of these booties after we done the pictures. She said, I don't want that. I said, okay, fine. Um, but let me show you how you can do it because it's a really nice thing, like a nice little technique to have to learn how to do. Essentially, what we're going to be doing is we're making our own templates. Um, so you're making your own leather bottoms. Well, that's our heel, and then you can make your toe, and you can make them any size. Some people like a really skinny heel. You can have a long heel, skinny toe, long toe. It's kind of nice because you can do however you want. But I want Marley real quick to get off of me and show what she has.
Yeah, so I've already put a link to this in the video description. I'll add it to, or no, I put it in the chat. I'll add it to the video description. But let me see. I think I'm the one on speaker. But this here, these are suede slipper bottoms by Fiber Trends. You can actually get them either at yarn.com or better yet at Knit Picks, who right now, guys, because it's Thanksgiving weekend, they're having a big site-wide sale. So I'm going to give you my affiliate link. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it's great because they know I sent you. But these suede bottoms are fantastic. You can see right up here. I showed these in the knitting video, but you can see that there's a smaller version or a small piece and a big piece, and it gives you the yarn. It already has the pre-cut holes, so it's just ready to go. Now, in the knitting video, I mentioned that I didn't add these to mine because I wanted black and I only could get brown. And so I'm actually going to make my own like Robin did, because if you guys don't know what these are the knitting ones. And so I have black buttons and I didn't want brown soles. I wanted black. So that's why I did not add these to mine, but I wanted people to have the option. So if you want these, and I spent just under $12 on these from Webs, but I don't know how much they are at Knit Picks. I did put a link in the chat. I'll do it again in the video description box also. So back to you, Robin.
All right. They are a great option, but if you can't find them, you can make your own. So I wanted to show everybody how to do that because it doesn't matter if you're doing the knit ones or the crochet ones, you make your own. All right, the things that you need. You are going to look for what I got is a giant roll because as you can see, I craft a lot. You don't have to get a giant roll. They come in these 12 by 12 squares. This is called faux leather. It's essentially vinyl. So you can Google vinyl, you can Google faux leather, and you want something heavy duty. They'll say heavy duty on it. They'll say waterproof because this is, a lot of people will use this to cover their patio furniture. They'll use it to make bags. It's a very durable, heavy duty fabric. I buy it in a roll. This gigantic roll, it costs $10. So you can make hundreds of things with it. The 12 by 12 kind of squares would be plenty to make what you need. Like one 12 by 12 square would be plenty. So you can get them cheaper. I've seen them at all of our craft stores near us too. All right, so you need your leather. I like to call it leather. It's fake leather. You're going to need any kind of trace paper you want to use. You could just use like tissue paper from a gift too. And then there's a couple more things that you need. You're going to need 2 needles. You want one that's crazy, crazy sharp because essentially we're going to pre-drill all of our holes. And then you want one that you're going to actually work with. You need a marker, you need a tape measure. There's lots of things that you need. Okay, so let me show you step by step how to make these guys. What you want to do is you want to fold your slipper so that you're just seeing your sole. So I'm just folding this guy over. It doesn't matter that it's not laying flat or perfectly. None of that truly matters. Then what you're going to do is you're going to lay your trace paper on top. And so that you can see straight through it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trace the bottom of my sole. And when I'm doing this, I'm not going to be perfectly worried about getting it exactly right. You're just going to do it, gently and quickly. It doesn't matter. What I do want you to do when you're doing it is I don't want you to do like right on the outside here because then the leather is going to curl up and you might not want to see this. What I try to do is I try to aim for around 1/4 of an inch on every side, every edge as I'm doing it. I'm not worrying that it's not perfect. I'm not worried that it's not a perfect square. The only thing that I worry about is that I have a little bit of leeway, about 1/4 of an inch all the way around the front part of my foot, the back part of my foot. So that when I cut out the pieces, they're just on the bottom. They're not going to be curled up on the side. Okay, so you're going to take your trace paper, clean up your lines, make them nice. This is your little template, drawn as much as you want. Cut this out, and then you're going to cut it out of your vinyl. What's nice about the vinyl is that you can draw on it with just a marker because it doesn't bleed through, which is kind of a very nice part. It's for easy crafting, what I like. Okay, once you cut it out, let me show you. So here is a pair that was cut out. So I just took my trace paper, I drew it on the fabric, and then I cut it out. Then you'll notice that I cut off a portion to be my heel. I totally eyeballed this. I did not measure anything. I just eyeballed it to be yay big. This part doesn't really matter how big it is. I just know that the heel, I want it to be smaller. Now you could, if you wanted, to take this whole thing and just seam this whole thing right on top of your foot all in one piece. But what I find when you're walking, because all of our knit and crochet stretches, well, this vinyl does not stretch. So I find that with having one solid piece, it just doesn't walk really well. So if you have two pieces and you have a separation, now it walks really nicely. Okay, so now you have some decisions to make. You can decide, you put it on the bottom of your foot and you decide, okay, I like this size, or if you don't like it, trim it up smaller. Now your toe doesn't have to be this long. It could be much shorter. You can decide how far you put apart. All of these are all your decisions. I will say the one cool thing is if you have a long toe, what you can do is have it curl up when you sew it on, and that makes for a really cute effect on your toe. It gives you this it's like putting a little tag on a hat. It gives you a little cute hint at what's going on below. I like doing that, and that's how I did it on this one, but my daughter hated it, so I took it all off. So, gift wise, you never know what people are going to like. I liked it because it gave me a little bit of extra traction when I was wearing it. Now, here's the part. You could, if you're super strong, just go ahead and sew these on. I'm not super strong. So this is the extra little step that I do when I'm making these, because I need to do what I like to call is pre-drilling all these holes. You can see I took it off. It still had all the fur on it. Is I will make myself a little template and poke all the holes already in there so that it's easier for me to sew on. So let me show you how I do that. All I do is grab a tape measure and I'm going to put a hole every 1/4 of an inch. So I lay my tape measure along one edge of what I'm doing. And you'll notice I put the 0 not at the edge. It's about a 1/4 of an inch in from the edge. And you'll notice that this edge is also about a 1/4 of an inch down. And then I'll just go ahead with my Sharpie and put a dot every 1/4 of an inch all the way along the edge. And then I'll finish doing that all the way around. Because we're using yarn, we won't actually end up seeing these little black dots. So don't worry about making them like super invisible. They don't end up being seen at all when we sew it on. Okay, so we can pretend that I have gone all the way around. Now, this is the part where you get your little bit of strength. If you have a leather puncher, they actually make a tool that punches. Have at it and use that. That is the perfect tool for what you need. But I am a lazy crafter and I just use what I have laying around in my house. And I know that I had a super sharp needle. So all I do is you at every single hole, at every single dot, just insert my sharp needle through. What's nice about the vinyl is it's not as heavy duty. It's not as hard to go through as leather is. Leather is a little bit harder to pull through. This is just plastic essentially. And so I just will put my needle through each hole. Then I'll go through and do the same thing with my tapestry needle that I'm going to be sewing my project on with. And it just gives me a nice little hole and I don't have to yank so hard along the way. So you do that all the way around. It's an extra step. It takes a little bit of time to go all the way around, but it does make it really easy to work with when you're doing it. All right, the good part, how to sew it on. You can sew it on pretty much whatever stitch that you like. I'm going to show you what I did, but there's no reason that you couldn't just seam it on with a whip stitch if you like that too. So the first thing you want to do is grab yourself some safety pins of some sort because you want to tack this on. When you're going to lay it out by our nice center line, our seam, you can kind of eyeball it with your eyes to line it up. You want to make sure that you have like a row or two of the edge on either side because you don't want it kind of right on the edge. Then it's always going to be off centered. So you're just going to eyeball it. Don't drive yourself crazy. Eyeball it with your eye. Make sure that it's kind of centered on the back of your foot too. And then we'll just pin it into place. You can pin it as much as you like. What I will say is that start on the heel and then give yourself a little bit of a tug because keep in mind, this stretches. So if you end up, I'm going to exaggerate this. If you end up doing it like this and it's curled up here, it's always going to feel like there is extra fabric down there. What you want to do is lay it over your hands so it's curled down. So you're kind of pre-stretching your fabric then you don't feel like a bump when you're wearing it. I'm just going to do 3. I would, if I was, when I seamed this on for myself, I put in a bunch of safety pins so that it didn't move. Because when you're working with the leather or when you're working with the vinyl, you have to put a lot of effort to push it through. So this does move around. So when you are pinning it on for yourself, pin it, every inch along the edge so that it doesn't wiggle on you or go anywhere. All right, now the fun part. So I just used my color A so it would match. Now again, if you want, you can just whip stitch it. You don't have to do the stitch that I'm doing. You could just whip stitch it if you like. But the stitch that we did in the picture was all you're going to do is insert your hook. I like to say from the bottom to the top. I'm going from inside of the vinyl to outside of the vinyl. And I'm pulling through. Now, the key to this is making sure that you are only grabbing when you attach it to your foot. Just grab 2 strands. 2 strands. I don't care where they're coming from, but 2 strands of your fabric. Because if you dig too far deep, now you just sewed it closed. All right. So let me show you the stitch pattern. You go from the bottom to the top. And now I'm just going to grab 2 strands of any one of my stitches and make myself a nice straight line. So this is just a whip stitch, but keep going. What I like to do, and the whip stitches will always be kind of diagonal, I like to make these straight lines. So I go back under the stitch I just did and pull up again. And now it made a nice straight line. All right, let me show you this again. You go from the bottom to the top, go through just 2 strands of any stitch, and pull straight. That's a whip stitch. Now go back under that stitch. I'm just going under that strand and pulling up. And that turns it into a straight line stitch and a straight line across the edge. So again, bottom to the top. Pull it nice and tight. Then go under it. Go under that strand and pull it up. And you do that all the way around. And it gives you a beautiful edged foot. All right. That's everything. What do you think, Marley?
Well, I think it's pretty awesome. I love the leather look, and I'm like you. I prefer to have a little leather bit up over the toe. I think it looks really good. It just, I don't know. It's that little extra finishing that people just don't expect on a handmade item, I guess,
Yeah.
You could even, maybe you didn't want to do the cuff. You could even do like a little leather tab on the back of the heel, like you're going to pull it up, like that'd be something fun to do. There's so many options. Something that we didn't really talk about too much is these would be really fun things to make for craft fairs. Like if you are, I know we're kind of at the end of the craft fair season right now for this time of year. But maybe these are things that you make for next year's, because sky's the limit, and they're great stash busters that you can really dive in and just use all sorts of different yarns to play around with stuff. I don't know. I think they're pretty fun. I like them a lot. The consensus online from what we've been hearing from on Instagram and on Facebook and here on YouTube, everybody really likes them. So that's fantastic. They really like this lesson, by the way, so much so. Mary is asking, are we allowed to sell the slippers that we make? Yeah, you can sell them. Absolutely. We just ask that you don't sell the pattern, of course, because the pattern's ours. And if you are going to tell people about the pattern, don't print it and give it to them, like make them go and get the pattern. That's the biggest thing. The only restrictions as far as selling things from our stuff is if it's like mass market. I'm talking like if Walmart came and took our exact pattern to go and replicate it and send it somewhere, like that's not allowed. But like cottage industry stuff, and I mean, guys, we love you. Yeah, go use our stuff. Go use it online. Absolutely. Because that's half the fun. So Mindy is also asking, what's the Pom Pom Maker for? So that was an optional piece, and we added that in there in case if you wanted to maybe make like if you did chains and added a pom pom at the end of each, you could like thread a chain through the whole thing. You just have pom poms that you could tie on. Like there's just different ways that you could zhuzh up the slippers. And so that's why it's an optional piece. It was, hey, if you don't want to do buttons, you don't want to do leather, maybe you want to try pom-poms and add pom-poms to it. I mean, maybe you want to put them at the toes. So every time you walk, you could add little bells to it. Like, I don't care. So yeah, that's what the Pom Pom Maker was for in the
Yeah,
original.
you like if it was just on the cuff part, you could see that it would like little pom poms hanging down would be cute. It would just be
that would be adorable. That'd be so cute. Let's see. Brat's mom says, I love every class you girls teach. Linda, I love you. You are fantastic. Linda is in every single one of my classes I do with Fave Crafts. And then she's part of your sock workshop. She's the By Crafty Champions. Like she is in it. Linda is amazing. She's a cat mom over there. Loving Linda. I think you did an amazing job. I think it's funny that you made one pair and I had to like make several to get to where I wanted to go. So I want to show you guys. I mean, yeah, we're talking about crochet, but I'm going to show you guys. So these were my finished knitting sample, which I bought the cutest feet to go in there. So those are my finished knitting ones. But then like, these were the first ones. These were my prototype, which is actually a pattern that will be in Stash Busting Quickies, which will go live tomorrow. So you'll be able to get this pattern. In theory, it's reversible because it's, what's that called? Brioche. I mean, it has a little bit, I mean, you could decide what you want to do, but I mean, you could do whatever you want. It's brioche. These were the ones that I made. And I called Robin and was like, hey, I think we should do this. And she was like, well, those look boring. She goes, can you do something else with them? And I said, well, it's brioche. I'm like, it's a little, she goes, but you can do other stuff with brioche. There's all sorts of things. I'm like, yes, but so I love these. I put these on. I actually brought these with me. I went on vacation to Sun River and it's right next to Bend, Oregon. And that's where Selena Baca lives. So I got to see Selena Baca and she tried these on and she was like, I want those right now. And I was like, thank you. So these were the first ones. These were the second ones, testing out the first ones. I switched things up a little bit, changed up colors, trying to mess around with different colors. Then I made a third pair that I actually had to undo in order to finish the second pair of these. So, because I was like, I ran out of yarn. And then I was so frustrated. The third pair was actually another brioche, and it was a much more complicated brioche. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to run out of my yarn that I bought to do these. So I grabbed Karen Colorama, and these, you guys, were the prototype for my finished ones. So these are really big, bulky Karen Colorama Ogos. You can see, like, there's my, and this, I just let the yarn do its thing. Like the color changed on its own, except for the orange. The orange is a second ball of Ogo that I use just for the orange bit, but all the rest of it is just the color A that just changed on its own. And then I use the orange for this flap bit. But these were the prototype. So when I tell you guys I made so many, but this just goes to show, like, my numbers on this one are a little bit different because this yarn's a little bit thicker than the yarn I use. Like, I had a little bit more just girth to it, I want to say. But these are so squishy. I love these. They're super squishy. Somebody did ask me why I chose a bulky instead of a worsted. I chose a bulky instead of a worsted so that way the knitters could keep up, honestly. And then when I saw that we could choose a bulky that had a nylon in it, I thought that was great for slippers. So I was like, I'm going to do that. So that's why I chose the bulky weight. And my crochet ones, they're still right here. They're essentially where I left you guys yesterday. Like, I started doing my shaping up here, but those are going to be that's the right side. Those are crochet ones. I want embroidery, but I haven't done that yet. So I figured I'd do this first and figure, I don't know. They're so cute. They're so cute. I like it. But as we do sort of like a finish up thing here, like I'm really happy that we decided to change it up. I'm glad we didn't make a sweater. Not that I don't like making sweaters. I love making sweaters, but I just think this was the perfect little piece to make for this time of year. I've got yarn.
Not over a 4-day event. None of us need that.
Yeah,
that's a lot of stress.
It felt good. It felt good. So I think a lot of people are enjoying it. People are saying they love the alternating stitch patterns. Stephanie says Marley ran out of yarn. It's just I had only bought 2 skeins, and so I was running out of what I needed to use for the actual sample. No, Marley ran out of yarn is not
ever going to happen.
Not ever going to happen. Let's see here. And everybody is happy. They're so great. This is good. This has been a good little lesson. Now, one thing I do want to mention, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. We have the game day coming up. Then we'll have Tournament of Stitches. I also have a crochet along with Yarn Inspirations. But more importantly, tomorrow starts the Stash Busting Quickie. It's not an event, but it's a chance for you to get 50 patterns for one very low price. For 50 patterns by me and Moogly, a couple by Robin, one by Ann Burke. And I think that's it. I think that's everybody that's in there. It's all new collection of patterns. I don't want to spill any more beans than that. Although tomorrow, I think it's like at 3 or 4 o'clock. I can't quite remember. We're going to go live with it, and it will only be available until Friday at midnight. So it's only available for a limited time. And then it will, let's say this, it's available for a limited time at this low price. We aren't sure yet if we're going to put it in the vault or if we're going to make it available at the more regular price. We're not real sure, but it will only be available at this low price for the week. So you want to stay tuned to that. And to give you a sneak peek, I'm wearing one of the new designs in it. So this is one of the pieces. If you don't know the Stash Busting Quickies, it's divided up into different segments of time you might have, different weights of yarn you might have in your stash, and then different types of projects. So this is actually one of the projects in the apparel section. It's also one of the projects where you have a week or more to finish something for somebody. And this is a worsted weight yarn. So those are the 3 different subjects that it comes into. It's a brand new pattern. It is a Ruana. If you guys know, I love these things. They're so comfortable to wear. I haven't even really named it yet. I haven't named it yet. Like I've been calling it the Rejuana, but I don't want to name it that. So it doesn't have a name. It still has a stitch marker in it. That's hilarious. Hold on. I got to take that off. Okay. So I'm going to stand up so you guys can see it. Like, da-da-da. It's so awesome. It is just like, it has pockets. It has pockets. Hey, pockets. And it's just, it fits really nice. The little bits of openness that it has. If you guys don't know this already, crochet, people are like, oh, it's not very warm because it's open. It actually holds in your heat, that the holes and stuff holds in the heat. So this is Chic Sheep yarn. It's seriously, it fits many sizes. It's just delightful. It's just delightful. I am so happy with this. It's very comfortable. The colorway that I have here, this is Sunset. And if you guys don't already know, Chic Sheep is going away. It is on clearance right now at Yarn Inspirations for like $7.99 a ball. It's not going away because it's bad yarn. It just didn't get the marketing it should have gotten, because it's really amazing yarn. So if you're interested in making this at all, this larger size, you guys know we've talked about sizing so much. I'm a 2X, 3X. I'm a large girl. This one took 14 balls. So it's a lot of yarn, but do you have to use Chic Sheep? No, you don't. You could use whatever yarn you want, but this pattern, the only way you're going to get it is in Stash Busting Quickies, and that will be available tomorrow. Very excited.
And it's one of the biggest projects.
Yeah.
There's like, definitely things in there that if you have an hour of time, you can make a gift.
Yes. Yeah. We have run the gamut of what's available in there, but it's 50 patterns plus bonuses, plus all the things. I don't want to give it all away, but that's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
Things are coming out.
Yes. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Pockets. Everybody's like pockets. Yeah, I love this. This is like the perfect little thing. I got to go take pictures on it or in it. So that's why like I did my hair and makeup. Well, I didn't do my hair. I put on my hair and makeup. That's hilarious. I put on my hair and makeup. So anyways, that's it. That wraps up Turkey Trot, everybody. Don't forget that you have a week to share your finished samples on social media and with us over on the Marley's Minions Facebook group for a chance to win the big grand prize, which is from Knit Picks and We Crochet. Chrissy actually posted about it today. I'm going to come over here to the Minions group and pull it up. So you
nice
guys
little prize package.
It is a nice little prize package. I wonder if I can do a share screen. Let me do a share screen of this. You guys get a behind the scenes look of the Marley's Minions group, which, you know, there it is. Okay, so Chrissy posted this. Chrissy, you guys know she's my executive assistant. Grand prize for the crocheters, We Crochet prize package. You get an enamel pin, a We Crochet tote bag, the magazine, which if you remember Caitlin, you guys, she is the editor of the magazine. 2 skeins each of Mighty Stitch yarn in wisteria, blush sky, mint, white, and silver. Read carefully. These are all the rules on how you can chance to enter. Enter here. It looks like we're going to do an enter here. So you get a chance to win there. I mean, it's just a nice little prize package. Oh, let me see here. I clicked too quickly. Those are all the different colors. Oh, those are great colors.
All of those.
Look at that cable pattern.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty. Love her hair.
They have some beautiful things.
I would wear hair like that. I love it. Love the unicorn. Love it all, guys. It's a great little prize package. Did she post yet what the knitters are going to get? Here it is. Here's the knitters. Grand prize from the knitters. The twice sheared sheep advent calendar box, you guys. You can't even show you this, but I will be able to show you. I'll show you what I have. Obviously go on here, read through. There's your King Sumo information. But if you guys join me for the live with twice sheared sheep, this advent calendar box is worth over $350. It is huge. And I have one. They sent me one. I hid it from myself so I don't open it. So
Wednesday.
It's in here. I hid it live, like so that people would know.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the box. It is fun filled with I'm not gonna
like open it. It's not Wednesday.
Well, I know, but I'm not gonna. I love the little. Okay, I can't open it.
No.
Watch the video if you want to know what's in this. There are other little boxes in here that are numbered for each day you get to open something. And there's yarn. There's lots of supplies for knitters. Like it's just a really great box. So this is the grand prize option for the knitters. So when you finish your project, make sure you enter it for a chance to win. All the details are up there. Goes without saying, but all of this is void where prohibited. I don't know if there are restrictions. Let's see. So this one, void where prohibited, and this one is limited to the continental US. However, I will find some way to give away prizes to those of you who are outside of the US who participated. And if I'm like, gosh, this person gets a pattern or something, we'll do something for you. The other one, yep, it's limited to continental US too, the one for We Crochet. Guys, honestly, it's not because we don't love all of you out there. Believe it or not, there's a lot of rules and restrictions and stuff about doing giveaways and such, not to mention the cost of shipping things and then customs and whatnot. So it's not because we don't love you. Sometimes it's just the nature of what it is. So I just want to make sure you guys know that. But don't let that upset you, because at the end of the day, you have some finished pieces that are just so much fun. And I hope you guys had a great time. Hope you had a great time. All right. Well, that's it from us, Robin. You ready to get to work? Because we got to put the finishing touches. I'm going to put this back away. Finishing touches on the stash roasting quickie so that it's ready for tomorrow.
We do. I gotta work hard so I can eat all those latkes tonight.
I know, right? And then on December 1st, you guys, it's the start of the 24 days of quickies. So you definitely want to join us back here for that. And happy Hanukkah. I said I was going to share my Hanukkah. Should I show them?
Real quick. Yeah.
Okay.
This will be coming out this week too.
Are you guys ready for this? This is the cutest dang thing ever. Okay, so there's a knit version and a crochet version. I'm going to show the crochet because we're on the crochet live. All right, guys, this is the cutest dang thing ever. And Robin, you're going to have to talk about this because you're Jewish and I don't want to misspeak about anything. You know what I mean? Okay. So, this is a Dinosaur Menorah designed by my friend Megan Kreiner. You can see up top here, there's a place for you to put a candle.
All of your candles.
All of your candles. And this one is, it's the one that you use to light all the candles,
That's right? That's for your shamash.
Okay. And then this is a dinosaur egg that holds all your candles. All the candles. So if I come in here, I'm going to pull out a candle. There is, I think it's like a hair roller in there and crocheted. So it has a candle. So this is for kids, right? And you come up here and this, I'm going to put it in here.
Yep. You would put it in for the first night tonight.
It goes in.
And it sits in there.
It's in there. So then I would have the other one. What did you call it?
Shamash.
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 Okay. I don't want to, I'm trying not to, I don't want to
just say the helper candle.
The helper candle. Okay. So I'm going to put my helper candle in the nose. There's the helper candle.
Yep. So we got our first night.
Other candle. And I mean, come on. How adorable is that? So this is the crochet one. I love the dinosaur egg. And then this is the knit one. Again,
us moms love the dinosaur egg. One spot.
I purchased these patterns from Megan Kreiner, you guys. Megan, you guys know she worked for DreamWorks. Now she works for Disney. She's amazing. So this is the knitting one. So knitters, don't despair. Here's your knitting dinosaur egg. And I'm going to put one in. Now, I'm going to ask you this because I think you did tell me I'm not supposed to make it like one there, like they go in order, right? Or they go there.
Nope. They go in order.
They go in order. So just one in order. These are things I just don't know. Not because I don't want to know. I'm going to tell you, my Jewish friends are going to be like, these are amazing. So
I can attest to that. They're so adorable.
I mean, I'm going to tell you guys, the idea of a dinosaur menorah was not mine. It was Robin's. And then I pitched it to Megan. And so she came up with many different dinosaur designs. And these were the winners. Robin was like, I've never seen one like that before. And so how freaking adorable is this? So this pattern is coming. Robin's editing it right now. So as soon as it's done, I'll get it to you, which I know does you no good right now because tonight's the first night of Hanukkah.
Yeah.
But we're doing the best we can, people.
We all feel
the
that
best
way.
we can. So happy Hanukkah, my friends. Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah.
And I'll be able to post this as soon as we can with the dinosaur eggs, which are the absolute best things ever. They're the best things ever. All right, cool. All right, everybody's loving it. So cute. Love it. Love it.
Go enjoy making your the rest of your socks and everything.
Yes. All right. And then we'll see a lot of you guys tomorrow.